open tonight's meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne. Ms. Fiddler.
Aye.
Unanimous vote to open our meeting for business.
Thank you, Michael. All right, as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded by Marshfield Community Media. Michael, do you want to kick us off with the COVID clinic and the vaccination clinic update?
Town meeting, sure. The town administrator, sure.
Perfect, yep.
Had a meeting with Cindy Marcoux regarding reopening. The library is open. Anyone that hasn't been there, the new rug's been installed, asbestos has been removed, and we're actually having an event on Saturday, this Saturday coming up at 10 a.m., a grand reopening. They have some festivities planned for kids and adults alike. Had a meeting with Cindy Castro to discuss some historic commission issues, including demolition delay bylaw. Had a meeting with Fred Russell, our facility director, regarding GA Hall renovations. As folks know, the GA Hall is owned by the town. North River Art Society is there, and they contribute towards the maintenance of the building. And we're working with Fred, the facilities, to make sure that things are done in the proper sequencing. Had also a meeting with Fred Russell on the fire department bathrooms and on the blacksmith shop, which we hope to get some repairs done there. Had lunch meeting with select person, Mr. Kilcoyne, to review a number of issues. Had a meeting with the resident, potential homeowner, Zach Nigro, regarding some issues down on Adelaide Way. Bi-monthly meeting with the Fire Chief Simpson and Ann Bastille, a town accountant, to review Fire Department OT. Participated in DPW's weekly construction meeting at 965 Plain. Participated in the MMA's Municipal Finance Management Resource Seminar. Meeting with Fred Russell, our facility director, to review maintenance projects around the town that included schools with generators, 255 Furnace, which would be the new preschool, renovations and maintenance at Town Hall, Fire Headquarters, the GIR Hall, Daniel Webster Estate, Recreation Office at Coast Guard. Participated in the Chamber of Commerce annual meeting at Green Harbor Golf Course. Interviewed by Rob from MCM Cable TV regarding the Marshfield Dog Park. We had a retirement party for Beverly Wiedemann, who retired after 26 years. Weekly FY24 budget meeting with Ian Bastille and Lisa Clark. Meeting with Bill Finn, Conservation Commission consultant, regarding South River Project, the Veterans Park, the dam removal, the fish ladder, etc. I had a meeting with Susan Tischowitz, who's on the advisory board, to answer some questions on the accounts that she had. Led a tour at the senior center with Lita Bank and Lisa Clark, our treasurer, for a potential ATM location. Meeting with Greg Guimont, our planner, regarding East Wind Road issues. Meeting with Andrew Stewart on East Wind Road issues. Meeting with Daniel Kerrigan to review a number of personnel issues. Meeting with Craig Jackson, our assistant director of Jameson, our assistant director of recreation. He's planning for his honeymoon. As we are meeting, he is on his honeymoon. Just got married. Attended Norma Haskins' husband's funeral last week. A meeting with Todd Goodwin and Jay McGillis and Jonathan to review some technology changes here at Town Hall. Participated in a PSA with MCM TV regarding our aggregate electric last week. We have another one scheduled for the 22nd at Marshfield High School. Meeting with Ned Bangs regarding an update on the Trails Committee and work projects. And a meeting with DPW on the review of their FY24 capital needs. Meeting at the ELC with Lieutenant Shaw to plan for the severe cold snap that we had and the need to open the warming center at our senior center. Participated in the first meeting for selecting a new conservation administrator. Worked at the emergency warming center. On Sunday, February 5th, we were there when we had a sprinkler head burst. We had some flooding. Get that all cleaned up. Meeting with Sue Karen on some potential land purchases. Meeting with Chief Simpson regarding update on mobile integrated health. Meeting with Sherry Costello from the advisory board to go over some of the accounts that she's reviewing. Meeting with Greg Guimont regarding the state's MBTA regulation for zoning changes. Did a WATD interview on MBTA's requirement for zoning 15 units per acre. Had a meeting with Andrew and Lisa and our IT to review some permitting software, comparison between the Munis software and OpenGov software. Organized Marshfield's community electric information session Our next one, like I said, is on the 22nd. Participated in the chamber discussion on a number of projects in town and involving Northeastern University. Participated in the first Levitate concert. We're planning already. Participated in Mayflower Municipal Health Steering Committee meeting. Met with Ned Bangs regarding the status of the trails and signage. Meeting with police, HR, and town accountant regarding some injured on duty issues. Conference call with Steve Callahan from Duxbury regarding seawalls. And that's my report for there. The health clinic, as folks know, we're shutting down the drive-through clinic. It's coming to an end on this Saturday, the 18th, our last day for appointments. But as of today, we've administered 4,824 shots, 3,920 COVID vaccines, 896 flu vaccines. So we'll be suspending operations. We'll be out of the fairgrounds by the 20th.
Michael, would you mind, couldn't hear. Would you just repeat the amounts, please?
Absolutely, be more than happy to.
Thank you.
In total, 4,824 shots.
Thank you.
The breakdown is 3,928 COVID, 896 flu shots.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, great, thank you, Michael. Do you have any questions or comments, Jim?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions or comments, Lynn?
If, Michael, would you mind just expanding a little bit on the informative electric meeting
Sure.
that we had, because it was
No, absolutely.
helpful, and I think that it would be
Sure.
great for everybody here.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Actually, aggregate electric passed in November of 2019, before COVID. Aggregate electric is for individual homeowners to decide how much of green electric they want to purchase. So right now, the majority of the electricity you get in your house, especially if you live in New England, are fossil fuels, so they pollute the environment. So aggregate electric, which is the real name, was a lot of cities and towns are adopting that. It just so it worked out for us that if you go aggregate right now, your bill actually goes down a little. There is a savings on your bill, just for whatever reason when they went out to bid. So the company, Direct Energy, is the company that has the Marshfield contract and about 7 other communities. We were all approved roughly at the same time, 2019. Then with COVID, we were at the mercy of the Department of Public Utilities. We didn't get approved by them until late summer, August, I believe, of this past August of '22. And then Good Energy is our consultant that's helped us through the process at the DPU, and they're our intermediary in dealing with Direct Energy. One of the things that some folks didn't like, and there was a lot of talk, I do look at Facebook, people were upset that the company's down in Texas and they have a call center and some, it's out of the United States in another country. Unfortunately, we can't regulate how private businesses operate, but they are one of the biggest electric companies in the world. They're in like the top 5. So they do this. So we had an information session last week that we had 200 people show up for and ask questions. And like I told people at the beginning, we'll stay until we've answered all the questions. And there were, at least 100 and something questions. Almost every person had a question. And we're doing another one on the 22nd at night. So we did one during the day. We're going to do one at night at Marshfield High School. So we'll be able to accommodate a lot of people if they want to swing in. It's at 6 o'clock on the 22nd. And I'm sure people will be asking a lot of the similar questions. You can either do the basic, you can do the standard, or you can go 100% green. And if you don't want to participate, you just mail in the card and have it postmarked by the 26th. Everyone should have gotten a mailing. A couple of people showed up out of the 202, never got the package of information, but the people that were there get their name and number and get another packet sent out to them. And it explains if you don't do anything, then you're in you're in the standard. You can then go down one more degree where you only have the 10% of the basic credits, and then you could go to the 100% green. And all of those, there are right now with the way the market is, there is some savings. Department of Public Utilities, I have to always quantify potential savings. But when you compare your rates, you look at your electric bill, figure out what your per kilowatt hour charges, and that's what I encourage all residents to do. And then they can decide when they look at that, what category they want to be in, go into. And if they don't want to participate, they're not forced to, they just send the card, and they just continue to get the regular electricity that they get now.
There's a lot of information out there. I just want to encourage everybody to do that, and it was very informative, even for myself, and I knew some of it going into it, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Can I have a quick follow-up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes, sir.
So I was away, so I'm going to come to the one at the high school. But this is just for residents, not for business, correct?
That is correct.
Just want to make sure everyone knew that.
Awesome, thank you. Any further questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Jim?
Nope.
All right, great. So we're going to move into our first appointment for 6:35, which is the earth removal permit. First, I just have to read the public hearing notice. So in accordance with the requirements of the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Division 2, General Bylaws, Chapter 70, Earth Removal, Section 70-9, public notice is hereby given that the Marshfield Select Board, in its capacity as the permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on February 13th, 2023 at 6:35 p.m. in the Select Board hearing room at Marshfield Town Hall, 870 Marine Street, Marshfield, Mass. 02050. The purpose of said hearing is to accept documents, testimony, and public comments in connection with the consideration by the Board of an earth removal permit application by Mariners Lane LLC. The property that is the subject of the application is located at 45 Proprietors Drive and is shown on the Marshfield Assessor's Map as lot number E09-01-66. Copies of the application and associated plans are available for review at the Select Board office during regular business hours. And this was published in the Coastal Mariner on February 2nd and February 9th of 2023. All right, so because this is an appointment, what we'll do is we'll go through the board questions and comments and discussion, and then, because it's an appointment, the public is welcome to give input as well. So what we'll do is, once we get to that portion, if you want to raise your hand, I'll recognize you, and all you have to do is just state your name and address, and then you can ask your question. I'll ask that you just direct your questions and comments through me, and we'll do the best we can to answer any concerns that you guys have. So first, Michael, do you just want to kind of set the table with what we've received from the applicant so far in terms of site plan?
So we have a copy of this site plan, we have a copy of their third-party engineer, which was Ed Pesci, on what he submitted to the ZBA. We have, like I said, the mapping. We have the necessary documents to take a look at. We did ask, one of the requirements under Chapter 70 of the bylaw is that we get notification from planning, so I believe the planner did get something to us. I don't know if he was able to see the documentation that was presented, the maps and stuff like that we have on the site plan. And then we've asked the police to weigh in and the DPW to weigh in. DPW weighs in on their concerns about any dirt being trucked out, that we always put the standard condition, but their thing is about the streets, to make sure that the streets are cleaned up. They have to be swept with a street sweeper and stuff like that, so that it's not inconveniencing any of the neighbors. And then DPW and police, the big thing is like a safety route, which way the trucks in and out. One way for the trucks to go out, one way for the trucks to come in. If they move it, the bylaw, then I'm sure you're going to get into all the specifications, but topsoil is the biggie. That's not allowed to leave the site. The other stuff can, under if a permit's granted.
Awesome, thank you, Michael. All right, so the applicants or the representatives are welcome to come forward and kind of explain the project if you guys would like.
Shall we sit?
Absolutely. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good,
So,
Michael McDougal, 45 Pioneer Trail.
thank you.
Thank you.
Roy Catignani, representing Mariners Lane LLC. I guess we're the applicant, we represent the applicant. I have for you, I don't know if you've seen this, Ed Pesci, your third-party consulting engineer, asked us to have an analysis done, both graphically and mathematically, of the calculations of materials to be cut and filled on the site, then coming up with a net export volume. It was sent, I believe, to everyone. It may have arrived at your office, I'm not sure, but I have 3 copies of that here if you'd like it.
Great. Do we have a copy? Thank you very much.
Okay. So we're here to answer any questions. Certainly, Mike and his company are the ones doing the earthwork, and they're the ones that would be moving the material off-site if you have questions about methodology.
So we totally understand the importance of the earth removal permit. And, thank you for seeing us and going through this application. This is something that we usually, is done prior to us getting to the site.
Yep.
So, we're one of 30 subcontractors on the site, and this scope particular deals with us, and since we're doing the work. So if there's any questions that, where we can work together on making sure everybody's happy, as far as we have roughly 4,000 cubic yards to leave the site, to make it subgrade and finish off the removal portion of it. Some of the things we were thinking of that would help out is if the removal happened all out through Enterprise Drive, like Commerce Way, and not so much down Proprietors. Also, once the site's opened up a little bit, we can eliminate parking on the side of Proprietors and get in the site more. But again, this is just some projects require this permit, some projects don't, some projects probably should. We have no problem with it, and, anything we can do to make everybody happy, we would like to do that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not the best public speaker.
You did great.
Well.
You did great.
All right, so did you have anything else that you guys wanted to add?
We talked, I heard some talk about the streets. If you guys ever follow David and I throughout, this is 20 years in business this year in Marshfield. We care so much about the community. We're always sweeping the streets. I did a 6-acre site next door, and mud never left the site once. Anytime mud has ever left the site, we've always swept it. And we will do so with this permit as well.
Great, thanks, Michael. So I'll just go through some questions that I have, and then I'll turn to my colleagues, Jim and Lynn. So how many trucks do you guys envision in going in and out every day?
So we do things on probably, it's not all going to happen at once. We have roughly 180 trucks to go.
Yeah.
I would say over the course of the next 2 months, that dirt would leave the site. And we're open to limiting the trucks if that helps out, as far as appeasing everybody. Because that's why we're here to come together on an agreement as far as the earth removal.
Yep.
So, but, frankly, a big day of trucking would be 1,000 cubic yards. That would be a very large day of trucking. And where there's only 4,000 cubic yards to go, that would be 4 days of trucking. So we're really not talking about much. However, we don't plan on doing 1,000 cubic yards a day. So, we could bring that number way down. You know what I mean? 400 at the most or something,
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a game plan to secure the site just so kids don't play in the affected area?
So, right now, there is a 6-foot safety fence up on the site. So the site is secure.
Great.
It's monitored as well by camera.
Great, thank you. And how big would you say the trucks are? What size would they be?
So this, there's 2 different types of trucks that'd be doing this operation. One's a triaxle. They hold about 22 cubic yards. And then one would be a tractor trailer. They hold 26. Your typical trucking, over-the-road, registered vehicles of the Commonwealth. So, so those would be the trucks.
Great, thanks, Michael.
Yep.
All right, and what hours do you envision the trucking happening?
So typically, our range of work is between 7 and 4.
Yep.
I know for a fact, we usually fire up around 7:30 and work till about 3:30, 4, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Those are typical hours for us.
Sure, thank you. And if one of the contractors wanted to sell some of the material in town, and it doesn't leave town, I mean, what's kind of your game plan for where you guys are kind of taking the fill of material?
I'll be completely honest. As far as I know about the bylaws, topsoil is the material that cannot leave site. But with the gravel permit, gravel can leave the site in the town of Marshfield. Because that's how I read it. You know, never has gravel in 20 years
Yeah.
not been able to leave with the permit.
Yep.
Okay? So, but we do know the bylaw with the topsoil. It has to stay in Marshfield. I don't know if it particularly has to stay on the job, but it has to stay in the town of Marshfield.
Got it.
Am I right on that? I think I read that, yeah.
Yes. Lynn's the expert on that, yeah.
I'm not an expert, but
But this is all typical stuff that's gone on. This earth removal permit has actually been great. You know what I mean? It keeps everybody on the same page, because you do want happy neighbors. You don't want anybody upset. You know, like, you know, you work hard to do a good job, and you want everybody on the same page, you know?
Absolutely. And you kind of touched on this earlier, but what's your plan if there's any spillage from the trucks and things of that nature?
So that would be cleaned up immediately.
Thank you. All right, and so that's all the questions that I have. Jim, did you have any comments or questions you wanted to add?
So this is like an after the fact, right?
This permit?
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah. And
The-
I'm-
That's okay,
Sorry.
yeah. I just want to get that out so people understood that.
Yep.
I think this looks like just a simple oversight. There's 9 million regulations. So, as you say, you know, some sites you don't have to do it, some sites you do, so it seems like a simple oversight. That said, I've been trying to read this as much as I could prior to this evening's meeting, and I did see a comment from Town Council today at 10 a.m., where Town Council recommend that it goes to Planning, DPW, and the Chief of Police. I did see a comment, I do believe, Mr. Chairman, that from the police already, that we've gotten back on that.
Yes.
Then I saw another email from Planning at 1:50 PM today, the 15th. And so this is from the town planner, and town planner states, I'll try to read it for you. The plans provided to the ZBA during the original site plan permit did not cover a number of concerns that are required to be shown on the earth removal permit. So I know you had plans before, but the plan is, town planner is saying, maybe because you didn't realize you had to do this, there were some things that might have been missed. He recommends a new cut and fill plan should be submitted to the board. So that was
That was
today?
submitted, yeah.
Today.
You've had it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When did we get that?
We submitted it, gee, I'm not sure. I know Ed Pesci sent you a copy today.
Today.
But these
Yeah, I'm
were
just trying to say today.
submitted some time ago.
So I'm just reading from what the town planner is stating. These aren't my comments.
Yep.
So the town planner says a new cut and fill plan, so you're saying you have that. I don't know if he had that at this time. This was at 1:50 PM today.
Gee, I'm not sure.
Right.
I don't handle the internal transmission.
understand.
I don't-
Yeah, so it just seems like a lot of information is coming in on the day of the decision, and so different boards don't have necessarily the time to review and look at it.
Your third-party consultants had this for quite a while.
I'm just reading what the planner said.
Yep.
So, as I said, he got 1:50 PM today, so if he had it, then he probably would not have stated that you need a new one. It's just a guess. So, I think this is a great project. I think this was a simple oversight.
Can I address that question? You've said that a couple of times, oversight. I'm not sure I understand that. This
Well,
was
because-
discussed at the site plan review. It was discussed, questions were asked and answered. I think the only issue that I've been told by Mr. Pesci, who's your third-party consultant, is that it was just simply a loose statement of 1,000 yards would be moved at the time of the hearing. And indeed, it's more than that. And I think that's really was part of the stimulus, was not that it wasn't discussed, because it was. Removal was discussed. The material being removed is simply the material needed to do the work. All that's on the record with the planning board and the ZBA, so there's no surprise there. But I think that the technical issue was the number of yards, was that there was a sufficient number in excess of what was said at the hearing, which was 1,000, and the actual number is 7,000. So I think that the town council felt that it was necessary to have this permit because of the quantity. I believe that's it. When you use the term oversight, There was no
I'm
intention to
fine strike-
oversee.
I'm fine with that, I'm fine to
Nobody was
strike
intending to
that as-
oversee anything. We thought we had all the permits we needed
I'm
at
fine
the
with
time.
that. Yeah, as I said,
Yeah, oversight. was-
miscalculation, not an oversight.
Well, just-
A
request came and we answered it.
written down, whatever it is, there's a discrepancy. That's all I was trying to bring out. The matter is referred to the planning board, and the select board cannot take final action until 30 days have elapsed since the planning board has reported. The planning board seemed to give a preliminary information. The planning board seemed to say that they want this plan. Now, seems like you've submitted it, but they haven't seen it, based upon what I can see here. And I personally feel uncomfortable doing terms and conditions on a planning board issue. I'm not a planner. So do Ts and Cs on a planning board issue, I struggle with because I just don't have the knowledge to do terms and conditions. So I do understand also, you have to file a land restoration plan. And there could be up to 3 different restoration plans. I do not feel capable of analyzing potential pluses, minuses of restoration
I
plans.
think that, I'm not sure I understand that one. The plan is on record and been approved by the planning board associated with the work to be done here.
I understand that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically,
I need the help too.
I feel like the earth removal permit touches on 2 different types of removal. One type of removal would be if someone was going to mine out a property, just to mine it out. This particular project requiring an earth removal permit is to actually construct and build the daycare. And in the bylaw, it states that, that we can do all the necessary construction below grade without the permit. It's stated that anything over 100 cubic yards would be a discretion of an earth removal permit, approved by you guys. Okay, and so like, this particular project is to build and construct something. So our finished product is not to try to put land back that was mined out. It's to actually construct and build a facility. Did I do get there?
So that's the restoration, I guess.
It could be.
Yeah,
I'm-
it's the
so,
building of a
Once
building.
again, I'm just trying to quote from different people that I read their information from. I'm not trying to do it myself. That particular comment came from town council. So I take town council's advice seriously. Town council says an applicant must file a land restoration plan. I'm like, okay. Town council says the matter is reported to the planning board, and the select board cannot take final action until 30 days has elapsed, or the planning board has reported. And also, town council said a bond or other security ensured to issue compliance and conditions, right, in writing for reasons required one. So those are my only comments, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you very much, Jim. And before I pivot to you, Lynn, I know part of the jurisdiction here is with our building commissioner, so Andrew is in the back. I didn't know if you wanted to add any additional context that, might be helpful.
Yeah, this was a request for enforcement that was submitted to my office for the violation of site plan approval. So I issued the notice of violation and consulted with Ed Pesci, our third-party engineer, who confirmed the cut and fill amounts and confirmed what Mr. Rigo has submitted here tonight to the select board.
Great.
So that was basically, like was stated, it was just a general calculation at the beginning. And then once they started the excavation and the actual works, they had more of an accurate idea of the fill that was generated, and then it was the just the transportation of the fill was the real violation, which was resolved.
Great, thank you very much. Sorry, Lenny, do you have any questions or comments?
Today, we received the cut fill analysis and the cut volume and fill volume, export volume. I'll just read what I have because it came in late. Cut volume is 9,317.81 cubic yards, fill volume 2,020.74 cubic yards. Export volume is at 7,297.1 cubic yards. So this is the report received on the cut fill analysis for 45 Proprietors Drive. So Michael has explained that there's 4,000, give or take.
Correct.
I know this isn't an exact science.
Yep.
left to go.
Yes.
So I think it's critical that everybody understands with the 4,000 that's left to go, proprietors, enterprise, however that mechanism of moving that fill is clear and understood. So I don't know if this board is prepared to answer that without planning board or another authority. However, that's my take on it. But if, through the chair, if that's a question that you would like to approach the applicant and let them answer that question, it's up to you.
Sure.
Okay. So,
I totally understand that. I've done a lot of work in the park. I've been a part of pretty much every project in there. The best route for trucks would be to exit out the Commerce Way Enterprise Drive to the traffic light.
Yep.
It's keeps us out of the high school intersection there and the Boys and Girls Club and Roach Brothers, and it only makes sense.
Yep.
So we'd be happy to do that, and hopefully everybody goes that way. It's mainly going to be our truckers doing it, but again, there's 4 or 5 other projects going on in the park at this time. So we'll do our best. We will tell everybody to go that way, and and make sure that they follow it to the best of our ability.
Thank you.
can I ask one other question?
Absolutely.
So since we have the building commissioner in the room with us, and he has experience in the permitting of different site plans,
Yep.
I'm going to just ask him about the route of trucks and what is best for the community. I don't know that he has the answer to that, however, he can offer a recommendation. So,
Yeah, it
Mr.
certainly
Stewart, yep.
wasn't, it wasn't decided on by the ZBA during the permitting process what routes the truck would take. It's certainly something I'm going to suggest that they address in the future to kind of curtail these issues. But I kind of agree that keeping the trucks away from the busy intersection of the school is in the best interest of the town. There's a lot of kids that cross that street, just at lunchtime to go across the street and get lunch or something like that, and then kids driving and leaving out of that area. I just think it would be a lot more reasonable, especially since we've that is the more industrial zone aspects, that other side down Commerce Way. To use that, I think that would be in the best interest of the town, in my opinion.
Thank you for that. So I think that's on the actual specifics on how this project is continued. I think we need to outline, and I'm aware that we have some conditions outlined, so perhaps the best way to do it is to take those and see where we go, but it's your call.
Yeah, it makes sense to
Okay.
me. Did you guys have any final comments before we go to the public comments or questions portion of the appointment?
Nope, I just happened to notice the date. This was submitted to Mr. Pecci on January 20.
Thank you very much. All right, so once again, so just so folks know, we do have about 16 different orders of conditions to make sure that we protect the residents and all those good things. And so it's nothing that a good faith actor is going to have any issues with. Like if there's spillage, you mentioned, it's going to be cleaned up immediately. So I don't foresee any issues based on your reputation. So again, I'll just turn to you guys. If you want to raise your hand, just identify yourself with your name and address. Just direct any questions or comments through me. So is there anyone in the audience, there's a question you have or something that wasn't addressed that you were looking to have addressed? Yes.
Bernie Dupuy, excuse me, 6 Weathermain Lane. I have several questions. I don't know if you want them all at once or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, we can go one at a time if that works for you.
I've heard 3 different figures thrown out today. 1,000 cubic yards, 7,000 cubic yards, 4,000 cubic yards. I'm confused as to which one it is. They said initially in the planning it was going to be 1,000. Their permit is seeking 7,000, and I heard a figure tonight of 4,000. So I'd like some clarity on that, perhaps.
Of course, yeah, Michael.
Sure. I'll start again. The site has a cut volume of 9,000. So it has a fill volume out of that cut of 2,000. So we have a 7,000 cubic yard coming off the site. Okay, 4,000 of that is remaining. Prior to this meeting and prior to this earth removal permit, the material's already left, okay? Again, this permit wasn't asked for during the approvals. Here we are today, and we're all about it, okay? So we have 4,000 cubic yards left to leave the site as it stands today.
Great, thank you. Does that answer your question?
I'm not sure of the clarity of it. So they've already, out of the 9,000 that were there, they've already taken out, what, 5,000?
No.
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 The net to be removed is 7, because 2,000 of it is being used on the site to fill areas that need to be filled. So the net to be removed total is 7,297. Of that, approximately 3,000 yards has already been removed. So
So
there's
that leaves,
4,000
that
to
leaves
remain.
an additional 5,000.
4,000, 3 from 7 is approximately 4.
You just said 2,000 was already removed.
I'm sorry, maybe I didn't explain that correctly.
Just the export volume, I think, is where we're getting
Yeah,
lost.
so 4,000, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
4,000.
great. So what is your next question?
I guess one of the basic obvious ones, why is it even necessary to remove all this earth? It was there to begin with. They bought the land with in my understanding that, there wasn't gonna be any kind of removal whatsoever. It never came up at the planning board meetings and so forth. And I'm wondering why we're going from 0 to 7,000, 9,000, whatever the figure is. I guess I'm looking for an answer. Why does it even have to be removed? Secondly, where is it going? Is it leaving town? Is it being sold? If so, who's making money on this earth removal when it's leaving town? Does the town have any kind of a benefit involved in this? They're taking money, or earth rather, from the town with some ordinances and restrictions about that. It seems like there should be some sort of a trade-off with the town to get some sort of a benefit from it. And last but not least, I am very concerned about them using Proprietor's Drive. Back in January, when they were first digging in there, the excavator who was there running the back shovel, there were trucks going up and down Proprietor's Green. I went right over to him and I said, it's my understanding, A, you're not even supposed to be taking this earth out of there, and you certainly shouldn't be going down Proprietor's Green because it's a safety issue. We've heard it come up tonight more than once about the kids, traffic, the Boys and Girls Club. Proprietor's Green is already a very, very busy intersection. That whole street is busy. You've cars coming up with the Roach Brothers and the Boys and Girls Club. Further development with the other school that's there, the 3 developments that are already up there. It's created a tremendous amount of traffic. And I see any trucks going up and down Proprietor's Green is just causing a nightmare. I think I have some very serious concerns about that.
Of course, yeah. So I think based on some of the comments made tonight, and one of the conditions we have too, all the parties here are on the same page that we're not going to use Proprietor's Drive. It's much better to go Commerce Way, then down Enterprise to get back onto Plain Street 139. So I think we've addressed that, which is good. Michael, do you want to answer the piece of why that earthwork has to be moved and where it's going?
I'm not the engineer on the project,
Yeah.
but it's pretty simple question. So you have the site is actually a hill, has a high side and a low side. And in order to level it out, 2,000 cubic yards of the 9,000 has to be spread out. And then in order to get the foundation to meet all the requirements of the building, the requirements that the town asked for to meet a certain slope going into the building, to meet certain drainage separations from groundwater, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you can't drive down a slope onto like Proprietors or even Commerce Way. I think it's 5%. So the street elevation 5% in. That's how we determine the grade of the. I'm not an engineer. I'm just doing my best here, but most sites are leveled out this way.
Yeah.
So, and there's no, I don't know the financial benefit question because I don't even know where to go with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you guys have an idea of, I guess, where the fill's going to end up or where it's going to be brought to?
Honestly, the fill is going to go all over the place.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not easy finding a home for 4,000 cubic yards of material. But, we do our best, to do that. But given this permit, it's going to go all over the place.
Thank you. Do you have any additional questions?
There are some low areas in that area over by the Boys and Girls Club ball fields in that area. Is it possible that they could use that? Because lately, in the last 6 months, when we've had heavy rains, that whole area is flooded. And I don't mean, I'm not talking about puddles, I'm talking serious floods. I'm looking at 6, 8, 10 inches of water in that area being flooded from, I'm not saying they're causing it, there's another school there, but it has dramatically changed the drainage area in there to the point where it's over there, it has been down. It's my understanding that some water has drained into the Boys and Girls Club swimming pool and caused pollution. I think these are areas that really need to be addressed with regard to addressing those areas before it gets any further out of hand. We take more earth out of there, are we gonna build some sort of a bunker to divert it to a lower area that can retain it, or at least away from the ball fields? I think those are all areas that need to come under consideration so that things don't get progressively worse.
Sure.
I can answer that question.
Yeah.
Yes, there are low areas in the park. This park is 80 acres under development. So basically, some fill will go in the park. The plan is to fill in that lower section of Progress at some point, but it's a separate project. The town has been working with VRT Corp., and we just got our approvals for a drain line that's going to help, with the area he's talking about in the park. But basically, it's they don't all happen at the same time. So not all the approvals are there at the same exact time.
Yeah.
So this 4,000 yards, some will be used down there, but it doesn't. There's no law that says it has to, and we would need certain approvals to do that too as well.
Yeah, you can't do everything concurrently, but it's
So
part of the long-term
that's
plan.
what I meant. But there are all those questions about drainage. There's been a whole drain plan that was submitted and approved just in the past month to address a lot of those issues. That has gone through.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other public questions or comments? You have one more?
Yeah, he made a comment that this is going to be addressed down the road. What does that mean? Are we looking at, within the next 6 months, next 2 months, the next 3 years? This situation is not going to get better on its own, it's going to get worse. And I think that, unless this is addressed, we've got a perfect opportunity here for them taking some dirt from the town, moving it to an area that could benefit the town, as opposed to selling it and putting money in their pocket. I think if we're gonna make a concession here to do this, I think we ought to get something back out of it. That's just my feeling. It shouldn't be a one-way street, I guess is what I'm saying. We have an opportunity here to take advantage of this. They hadn't planned on even removing it, at least not to this degree, so obviously it wasn't budgeted. They have an opportunity here to do something that's gonna benefit the town and the whole entire community. And I think that's, a time to be addressed is now, not 6 months, 3 years down the road, when it's only gonna get progressively worse. I would think you'd want some sort of stipulation with regard to the amount of fill being kept on that site type area where it is gonna have some benefit for the town,
Understood.
and not money in someone's pocket.
All right, the Levi's jacket.
Yep, one question. My name is Doug Wiley, 2 Weather Van Lane. With the number of heavy trucks that are going to be transporting the dirt on Commerce and/or proprietors, if damage is done to those roads, who's responsible for the repair?
Well, I can answer. I mean, we would be.
Yep.
Commerce Way is a private road. It's not owned by the town. It's a road it's binder only. It's still under development. So that road doesn't even have top coat yet. Proprietors Drive, it has top coat, and it has been used for lots of activities and construction in the park. But as mentioned before, we would like to use Commerce and Enterprise for this permit.
Thank you. Yes, back left.
Maureen O'Malley, Old Boardwalk Lane. Could this fill be used for the beach nourishment program?
My suspicion is the grade of the sediment wouldn't be quite right, but Michael, you might be able to better address that.
It wouldn't, I don't believe I'm not an expert either, but I would say no, because the granules wouldn't be right. It's a totally different kind of organic material.
Got it, okay. All right, you ready to go into the motion?
I just have one other question, if you could just give me 1 second. We just touched on it, so this is, so there was a recommendation, I understand, in our packet of a 1-to-1 ratio to go to a 1-to-2. Is that part of this cut and fill analysis? So that's question number 1. Question number 2, are you the sole responsible contractor for the site work? Or is there anyone else other, and you can probably answer that question.
So,
2 questions.
so me and my brother David are responsible for the site work on the job. Just one of 30 subcontractors on the project, but
Right.
yes.
Okay.
To answer your first question, all the grades that were requested at the time of the multiple hearings in front of the ZBA were achieved, and one of them was the 2-to-1, and that was done.
It was done, because there was a recommendation, and then,
Just one area.
okay. And then the operation and maintenance plan, that was it. I just wondering if that made it to
Yeah,
ZBA or
I
planning.
believe what was ever required by the ZBA,
Okay.
special permit went on for 3 meetings over a period of 2 months or so.
Okay. Thank you.
It's completely satisfied.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so first I'll go ahead and make a motion to close the public portion of this appointment. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous consent, or unanimous vote to close the public portion of the hearing.
Great, thank you, Michael. All right, so sit tight, this one's gonna take a little bit. So I'll make a motion that the select board grant an after-the-fact earth removal permit pursuant to chapter 70, section 70-4 of the general bylaws of the town of Marshfield to Starboard Academy for the proposed earth removal shown on the site plan dated August 11th of 2022, and the site restoration plan that was dated as of today, I believe, based on the finding that the proposed operation as conditioned, 1, will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health, 2, will not produce noise, dust, or other effects observable from adjacent property in amounts seriously objectionable or detrimental to the normal use of the property, and 3, will not have a material adverse effect on the water supply, health or safety of persons living in the neighborhood, or on the use of or amenities of adjacent land, with the following conditions. Number 1, that the permit is limited to the work shown in the approved plans, and any deviations shall require further select board approval. Finished grade shall be substantially as indicated on the approved site plan. Number 2, the applicant shall inform the select board, building commissioner, planning board, police in the realm of traffic safety, and the DPW of the name and contact information for the number 1 project manager, number 2 the contact person at the firm performing the site work and trucking and hauling. Number 3, the applicant shall provide the building commissioner with interim weekly documentary evidence of the quantities of material excavated, the date of removal of such material, the location of the disposed materials, and the owner of the vehicle used to transport the material. Number 4, all auto and truck access ways to all active and inactive mine operations for sand and gravel must have controlled access by lockable gates. Number 5, all trees are to be cut, not bulldozed. Stumps may not be buried on the site except in accordance with a site assignment issued under General Laws, Chapter 111, Section 150A. Number 6, excavation at or near the property line is permitted as per the approved plans. Number 7, earth must be removed to contour substantially as set forth in the approved site plan. Number 8, the regrading, restoration, and seeding of each grid of disturbed area shall be completed substantially in accordance with the approved restoration plans and landscape plan, and any requirements set forth in the final conservation and management permit issued by the Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, Natural Heritage, and Endangered Species Program. Number 9, all access roads leading to public ways shall be treated to minimize dust and mud for a distance of not less than 50 feet back from the public way. Any spillage on public ways shall be cleaned by the applicant on a daily basis, and any damage caused by any truck traffic shall be repaired at the cost and expense of the applicant. Number 10, a final report prepared and certified by a registered civil engineer licensed to practice in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts shall be forwarded to the board, building commissioner, planning board, and the DPW at the completion of the earth removal project. The report shall state that the amount of earth removed from the site and shall certify that such removal was in substantial compliance with the approved plans. Number 11, that all truck traffic associated with the earth removal operation shall be routed to the site via Commerce Way, Enterprise Drive to Plain Street. Number 12, there shall be no trucking or hauling activities on Sundays or holidays, which shall include Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, President's Day, Patriots Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, and Labor Day. Number 13, there shall be no on-site rental of materials, and the site may not be used to stockpile materials for rental. Number 14, that measures shall be provided to control nuisance dust emissions during earth removal operations to minimize the impacts on any abutting property or streets and ways. Water spraying or other methods of controlling dust shall meet all air pollutant standards as set forth by federal and state regulatory agencies. Number 15, there shall be no site work related to earth removal or trucking and hauling operations on weekdays before 7:30 a.m. or after dusk or 6 p.m., whichever is earlier, or on Saturdays or Sundays. And number 16, the applicant shall post a surety bond in the amount of $100,000 with the town's treasurer collector and a form acceptable to town council prior to the commencement of any work. Is there a second?
I have a couple comments.
Sure.
So do you want to address the comments, or you want to, is that okay?
Yeah, we can address the comments, yeah.
Okay. Number 1 is on item number 2, to include the ZBA where they were part of this project. It's not listed. Select Board, Building Commissioner, Planning Board, comma, Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'm good with 11, and this does not include a limit per day in trucking. So I don't know where we stand on that, or if we're okay with them just going at it. I think the recommendation was was it 400 at the most per day? Do we have the, Kate, do you have the notes on that?
Where was that note from?
Michael commented, I believe.
I mentioned it, yeah.
Per-
At 400.
We're closed, so I'm just not sure how to address. Michael, maybe you could help.
It was 400, but the board can put a limitation. The board has the authority and the conditioning. You can limit how many truck loads you want per day coming out, how many trucks.
I mean, I'm okay with them just getting this project done as long as it doesn't impede the public, but I don't know how the rest of the board feels on that.
Sure. What do you see as like a realistic daily amount that you guys would look to move?
I would say if we stuck with the 500 as a maximum, that would be reasonable.
Okay. 500?
Yeah.
Okay.
This isn't going to be like a just blowout type of thing. It's just little's going to leave it as it goes. It's just, you know, we're basically just building a project, right? We're not trying to mine out the whole property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I have one last comment.
Sure.
The access to this site is on Proprietor's Drive. Trucks will leave Proprietors and go Commerce.
Yep.
On that 120 feet.
Sure.
Okay, so that's what's proposed in the plan, and that's the entrance. So if a truck is on there, it will be leaving through Commerce and Enterprise. But there is that one section where we'll be exiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
So maybe you could just provide a traffic flow of your trucks, and that would.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to open up a couple different areas, but at first, until we get in the site, that one section will be the area. But we won't be going down the hill, we'll go through the park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
With some conditions as well. So I'm reviewing the council's conditions as well as verbiage, and he has in here, the applicant must also file a land restoration plan. Nowhere in our conditions are we asking for that, so we might want to add that. That's where he said this, there may be 3 different types of restoration plans, and also that restoration must be to address the public, should be restored within 1 year. So maybe a condition on that as well. And then if you look at planning boards, maybe for conditions, planning board said a new cut and fill plan should be submitted to the planning board. Planning board said we should consider fees for the amount of material that is trucked out of town. Planning board said no additional material should be removed from the town. And planning board would like a condition to require plans to be submitted for a proper review and conditions to be developed prior to approval by select board.
Understood. And did you want to address that?
Well, just the comment that we touched on previously, the restoration plan is the approved site plan. There is not separate, as you would have in a gravel operation where you're scouring the earth and have to put back material. It's, I think, just the wording of the language, really. So the restoration plan, I think, should be interpreted to be the approved development plan. There isn't really any reason for a separate plan, but that's what we're planning on doing.
Thank you, sir. I'm just reading what town
Yeah,
council
so just to
recommends.
clarify the record, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
He feels there must be one.
Right, and I think what he means is you have to comply with the plan that's approved.
I think a lot of the confusion, Mr. Chairman, here is that when you get this amount of information for an important vote like this, on the day of the vote, it's very difficult to make proper decisions, make sure it's conditioned right, make sure that maybe the planning board has had a chance to comment thoroughly. So I think it's just hard, not because it shouldn't occur, it's just a lot of information for us to try to condition, maybe other boards should be conditioned. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. All right, Michael, how many truck trips per day do you envision being 500 cubic yards being moved each day? How many truck trips would that be, do you think?
I mean, what is that, 20 trucks? I'd have to do some computations here.
Depends what size truck. 2 yards.
Yeah, 22 trucks, roughly, give or take.
Sure, understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so I think the cleanest way to do this is I'll make a second motion too for the amendments that you suggested. So first I'll entertain if there's a second for the original motion, obviously with the promise that I'll do a second motion to amend it and clean up your suggestions.
Okay.
So is there a second for my previous motion?
Yes, second.
All right, roll call is in order.
Yes, roll call is in order.
We closed the public portion of the meeting.
You reopened it for him.
He's doing the presentation. It was the public portion of the public discussion that we closed off.
They already have a second exit up there right on Commerce Way. There really is no need for them to go off and provide, there already is there, an exit there with a gate.
Okay, understood. Do you roll call, Michael?
Motion's been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Nay.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
2 to 1 vote.
Great. All right, I'll make another motion that we amend the order of conditions number 2 to also include the zoning board of appeals to be informed by the applicant, and that we add an additional order of conditions number 17 to limit the number of cubic yards moved each day to 500. Is that everything? Is there a second?
That's, yes, I
Are we
second
going to
that.
add any conditions that the planner asked, or is that the only one you're suggesting, Mr. Chairman?
Those are the ones I'm suggesting.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Nay.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
2 to 1.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our next appointment, which is a poll hearing. So I'll just go ahead and read the public hearing notice.
Can we move this table forward a bit?
I can move it for you, yeah.
Little seats.
All right, so here is the public hearing. In conformity with the requirements of Section 22 of Chapter 166 of the General Laws, you are hereby notified that a public hearing will be held at the Marshfield Town Hall, Selectmen's Hearing Room, 870 Marine Street, Marshfield, Mass. On the 13th day of February 2023 at 6:50 p.m. Upon the petition of Verizon New England Inc. and N-Star Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy dated December 1st, 2022, for permission to erect or construct in a location for a line of wires, poles, and such other fixtures as may be necessary to sustain and protect the wires of the line upon, along, across, or under the following public ways of said town, Marshfield. So we got the plans for this one, Michael. It seems pretty straightforward. Is there any other context you'd like to add?
I think it's pretty straightforward. I know we have someone from Verizon.
Sure. Do you want to come up and just, if you want to, you can just walk us through it quickly, but don't feel the need to go at length.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry, Ocean Drive. They want to add 2 poles across from Winslow Street,
Sure.
just to supplement the carrying of the wires through there to make it safer for the public.
Great, thank you. Are there any abutters who are looking to comment on the poll? All right, great. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just if the gentleman for the record just could state his name.
Oh, I'm sorry, James Murphy.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Jim?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions or comments, Lynn?
No.
All right, great. All right. All right, go ahead and make a motion to approve the request of Verizon New England and N-Star Electric doing business as Eversource Energy to place one jointly owned pole, 115/1.5 on Carolyn Circle. Necessity due to the electric company request to attach facilities. Said pole to be erected substantially in accordance with the plan filed herewith marked VZNE Inc. Plan Number MA 2022-46, dated November 17th, 2022. Also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distributing purposes. Your petitioners further agree that the space shall be reserved and maintained for the limited purpose of attaching on-way, low-voltage fire and police signaling wires owned by the municipality for public safety purposes only. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve.
All right, our next public hearing notice, in conformity with the requirements of Section 22 of Chapter 166 of the General Laws, you are hereby notified that a public hearing will be held at the Marshfield Town Hall, Selectmen's Hearing Room, 870 Marine Street, Marshfield, Massachusetts, on the 6th day of February 2023 at 6:45 p.m. Oh, I went out of order. Upon the petition of Verizon New England Inc. and N-Star Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy dated November 9th, 2022, for permission to erect or construct in a location for a line of wires, poles, and such other fixtures as may be necessary to sustain or protect the wires of the line upon, along, across, or under the following public ways of said town, Marshfield. You just want to walk us through this one pretty quickly as well?
The only one I'm here for
Oh, sure.
is the Ocean Street one.
Great, thank
I
you.
didn't know of any others, to be honest with you.
No worries. Do you have any questions or comments, Jim?
No, I've read it through. I don't. Standard poll.
Yep. Great, thank you. Any questions or comments, Lynn?
No, I don't. Thank you, sir.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the installation request of Verizon New England and N-Star Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy for the installation of one JO pole 7/79.5 on the southerly side of Ocean Street, new location being approximately 880 feet east of the center line of Old Colony Lane and is 40 feet easterly of existing pole 7/79 and is 95 feet easterly of existing pole 7/80. Install one JO pole 7/79.75 on the southerly side of Ocean Street. New location being approximately 745 feet west of the center line of Musket Road and is 60 feet westerly of existing pole 7/80 and is 75 feet easterly of existing pole T7/79. This installation is being requested by Eversource to upgrade services to provide for the distribution of intelligence and telecommunications and the transmission of high and low voltage electric current. Said poles to be erected substantially in accordance with the plan filed herewith, marked VZNE Inc. Plan Number MA 2022-45, dated October 26, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to our final appointment with Jeff Grantino to talk about South Shore Regional Vote Tech.
Hi, you're familiar with me as well.
Great. Hey, Tom.
So much
for having us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's okay. We had a nice evening with the advisory board first, so got a lot done tonight.
Yeah, productive evening.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much or how little you folks are aware of where we're at right now. Obviously, the committee voted at the last meeting to bring forth an article to town meeting to move forward our desire to try to join the socio-vocational technical regional high school. The article, Attorney Galvin from the town helped put the article together for us, so we plan on bringing that forward. And if passed there, it also has to pass at 6 out of the 8 existing member districts as well. So that's Cohasset, Situate, Hanover, Norwell, Whitman, Hanson, Rockland, and Abington. So 6 out of those 8 have to vote. At the regional district itself has their own school committee, and they've already voted the changes made to the their existing agreement. I believe you folks have a copy of the agreement. Okay. You had one with a lot of strike-throughs before, and a cleaner version was sent over to Michael today, Mr. Moresco today, I'm sorry. And that kind of outlines where we're at. I'm not sure if you want to get into the nuts and bolts of what it entails, or the programs themselves, or the funding. I mean, there are a few, the funding itself, and if we have specific questions, Tom can address them. The funding for enrollment really isn't going to change a whole lot for what we're paying now. We have 8 students that go there now. And we have not had any get in the last 2 years when we try to enroll in, because their member districts are taking up their spots, which they have the right to. But in the past, sometimes they weren't all used, so we were able to grab some of the the open spots. And if we were a member district, we would be guaranteed a certain number based upon our 8th grade population. So we stand the chance to have a high number of opportunities for our students to go there. First couple of years, we're probably not going to get all of those seats filled ourselves yet. Kids are it's going to take a while for that to kind of warm up, to the students. But it'll be nice to know that we'll be able to get, a handful in there at the very least. And the tuition costs are no different really than what they are now, as a non-member. Transportation, which is something that we cover as our own district, for the kids that we have to send over there, that's on our budget. This would be built into the number that we spend at the vocational schools. So the tuition is somewhere in the $16,000 to $17,000. It's not set right now for next year. So, and this actually would be for the 24-25 school year. This would not be for next fall. This would be for the following fall. And that tuition is somewhere between $16,000 and $17,000, with transportation probably around $3,000 to $4,000. That's baked into the number. So probably about a $20,000 to $21,000 tuition for each student that goes there. And a few of the added costs that come from being a new member, if we were to be joining, one of which is they have been paying into a stabilization fund for 40 years probably, so that's an asset that their regional district has. So for us to join, we would have to pay into that stabilization fund, and we agreed with them on a number based on what could be our percentage of the enrollment if they looked at our 8th grade numbers, which is about 17.9%. So they have about a $2.1 million stabilization fund. So to pay, quote unquote, our share, we would have to come up with about $390,000, $392, $181 over 10 years. So that number would be added each year. So if we had 30 students, that 39, 218 would be spread out over those 30 students. And that's just for the stabilization fund. There are debt fees as well, but right now they are not carrying any debt. That was the big thing that Tom and I, Ms. Miller and I, worked with their committee. I shared with our planning team that when they first were looking at a possible high school and what our share would be if we were to join, they were looking at that big percentage of what we could conceivably make up, that 17.9%. I don't think we're going to hit 17.9% for some time, and so we did not want to be held accountable to that number when we might only have 5% of the students. So they were willing to kind of work out a formula that is spread out over a few years. First of all, the first year we joined 24-25, if they had debt, we don't have to pay anything. We're not paying into debt that first year. In years 2, 3, 4, and 5, if they incur debt, so say they go and get a new building, they're trying to get a new high school, the point by which they would have to start paying anything if they were to get that new high school would not be for a few years down the road, but say conceivably it's in years 2, 3, 4, or 5, they'll look back on our previous October 1st numbers and see how many students we had. So if you had 5% of the students, which right now they have a 650-person school, so 65 would be 10% of the students, 32, 33 would be 5%. If we had that many, we'd owe that percentage of whatever the dollar amount is that they owe on the building. In year 6, they would, if they incurred the debt in year 6, they would go based on the October number of 2028, which is theoretically 6 years from now. Year 7, so say they have a new high school, but then in year 7 they come up with something new. They're building an annex to the building already, and which isn't probable, but just in case, if they incur any new debt, then year 7, what we owe on that number would be based on our previous year's October 1st. And going back a step, I'm sorry, year 6, whatever our number is, 5%, 10%, 12%, we lock in for the rest of the project. So if there's a project that's going to be paid out over 30 years, that percentage is going to be known. So we might go up to 20% next year, but we're slotted at that number, whatever we're at, come October 1, 2028. And then anything beyond that, year 8 and beyond, if there's new debt, they have a formula already built into that agreement that we shared with you folks, and that's all of the members. Whenever there's a new debt that is incurred, they do a 3-year look back. So they do an average of the previous 3 years enrollment and see what that percentage average is, and that becomes your new share that you owe for any new debt moving forward. So again, not going to happen in the first year, definitely, and it's probably going to take a few years. If they are successful in gaining a new high school, it's going to be a few years before they start paying off on the bills that they'll be incurring on that. And unfortunately, the cost of high schools, we had a great project here in Marshfield. It seems like ages ago, but you're probably looking at twice that much for new high schools. And with vocational schools, there's so much fine instrumentation that's needed in the programs that they have things that you don't typically see in a traditional high school. So those costs could be anywhere from $200 to $250 million for a new school there. That's a whole nother process that goes through pretty much what we did here, but that has to happen in 8 towns. Or if we join, it's going to have to happen in 9 towns for that to be approved. So we're a ways down the road from there. So going in, you're looking at the tuition, which is set at the state level. Okay, transportation is built into that number. Okay, there's possible debt assessment a few years down the road. We know we're going to have that $39,000 to pay into stabilization, and those are our costs. And again, you don't pay the enrollment for students that you don't have in there. So they're not saying you owe because you could represent 18% of the population. You got to come up with 18%. So 70 students or whatever it might be, or even more, 120 students times that tuition. You only pay what you have in there. So, and we know that those costs aren't that much different just on the enrollment and the transportation than what we're paying right now. So this is really an opportunity for our students to have something that we can't provide. Most traditional high schools don't have the setup that the vocational programs have. We know that we have a number of students that apply each year out of the middle school that would like to go there, that would like to have that hands-on problem-based learning that is part of the vocational experience. And while we would be losing students from our schools, we want to make sure that we're providing opportunities for the Marshfield students that might have that desire to learn in that fashion, and we don't want to hold them back. And we've had 2 or 3 classes coming out of the middle school now in a row that haven't been able to get into the vocational program. So that was kind of the impetus for us moving down this path. But we think this will help a segment of our population, and we want to do everything we can to meet the needs of all of our students. Am I leaving anything out, Mr. Miller, money-wise?
No, financially, the key here is tying it to the number of students that are attending. Yeah. Initially, the proposal was that fixed percentage, and especially with the debt, almost 18% of the debt, where potentially we could have 4 or 5% of the students. That didn't make sense. Right now, we're paying per student, and outside of that, just under $40,000 stabilization payment for 10 years. Everything is fixed to the students attending. So, in the end, that's the key component that's not going to hamper us going forward as a town, as a district.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate the work you've done on this front for our students. That'd be a great opportunity because right now we're at the mercy of if there's a spot open, we can get students in. Whereas now we can get more seats in and help out more students who enjoy and excel in the hands-on learning process at vocational high school, so.
There's 4 seniors attending now, 2 juniors, and 3 juniors and 1 freshman because their older sibling and that freshman moved into town and they're both attending. So without those move-ins, we had 6 students, and over the next couple of years, we will potentially have 0 students attending. So that's why we started this project here.
Yeah, it's a great project. Did you have any questions or comments, Jim?
Yeah, please. So I think it's a great project. It's going to give opportunity for students that may not have, definitely didn't have before, really. You might get a couple. You said the last couple of years we didn't have any. These jobs are badly needed in the United States. If we have, young men and women that want to go into these vocations, we definitely want to try to encourage them to provide this environment. So I applaud you for that. I read all 8 pages. It can be a little dry and difficult
Yeah,
if it's your first time through. So I had to read it a few times.
Went through many revisions as well.
But I can tell you guys really worked at it to get it to where it is. And I did read previously that you went back and like you discussed as well. That and I hope at town meeting the town will accept this. Obviously, that'll be up to the voters.
Yes, sir.
The question I have, maybe you can help me understand, is so we have X amount of students in the high school now.
Mm-hmm.
X amount may leave the high school and go to this. Now, it could vary year to year.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, it was in my head, that maybe the total openings might be around 50. Is that?
That would be a high end. I
Yeah.
would say.
I don't anticipate
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
But, right. It could be 20, it could be 10.
Right.
Right. But we'd have an assigned slots once we're full-fledged members.
Yes.
Right? 1/8 or
We
whatever
would
it
have
is.
17.9% of that population.
right.
Of the 650, so it's a decent number.
It's a
which
good number.
we would never reach. But what happens is those slots that we don't fill that potentially ours go to the other towns
Yep.
first.
Yep.
And then eventually, if the 8 towns don't fill up all 650, then that's how we were sending students previously. Is they would go to non-member towns to get in. So.
Yeah, and it may open up for other towns as well. And I realize there may be a school down the road. Those are all separate issues, and the citizens can figure that all out. So we have X number of students that are in our school system now would be going there. So we would be paying them around $21,000 a student.
Must be a little higher than-
So
Give it-
actually,
give it take 19.
how it works currently is we have a line item in our operating budget and we pay directly to South Shore for those students. So 8 students attending right now. It's 8 times. It's actually around 18,000 right about now. There's also a SPED component, additional costs, but we pay that directly 2 times a year, tuition directly to them. When we become a member, the money of those students that would have been going to Marshfield, the money from the state Chapter 70 formula, the education formula, will go to South Shore.
Correct.
So that it's kind of a shift in that process. So right now the money comes into Chapter 70. We send it directly to South Shore with a check. Eventually, the Chapter 70 formula will go straight to South Shore for those students attending.
Right, so
That's how
the state money will go now to them.
With the
We'll follow the
Rather than to
Yeah.
Marshall. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I thought that's how it worked. And will we be paying extra money as well on top of that? That's just the state part, right? The town also will be paying them X amount per student?
Yeah, so how it works, so the debt, the debt and the stabilization are payments, additional.
So
That'll
we-
be additional,
We
so-
wouldn't, so that the state's paying totally for the students, the town of Marshfield would not be paying anything to have the students go there?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that.
It always
When
is.
you run through the formula, it doesn't come up to that exact number.
Okay.
I could do it.
It's okay.
Dissertation.
I guess what I'm trying to get at, so the citizens of Marshfield pay X amount of money to send a child to Marshfield school system.
Yeah.
Correct.
Combination of state and local money.
State and local monies.
Right.
So the state money will now flow directly there for the number of students that are there.
Correct.
Rather than to us.
So,
Get
yeah.
it, easy. So I think the public can totally understand that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
And
it's
the
simple.
local, the
It's
local
simple,
part,
yeah.
the local
It's still
part.
that's coming out of our budget.
Yeah.
So we lose, say, 30 students, we're paying for the 30 students now to go over there, right?
Yes.
Rather than in ours.
Yes.
All right, so will there be offsets for that, right? So reducing the budget, because we no longer have students, those 30 students, 10 students, 50 students in our
Correct.
high school.
And that's something we'd have to
And
work with the financial team
We're
on
paying it here,
town's
so
side.
if
Yeah.
we don't, in my head, I'm a simple Irish boy doing math, if the local costs are here now,
Yeah.
we shift the local costs over to there, but we don't reduce the local costs here, we're paying twice.
Yeah, but no, so what actually, so what'll actually say, just a rough number, say we had, if we had 10 students and it
whatever
was
number it is, yeah.
$20,000, so it's $200,000.
That's a concept, right?
$200,000, 10 students, 20,000 each, we would receive $200,000 less in funding, and we also receive not necessarily, not the whole $200,000, but we'd also receive an assessment from South Shore. There's a huge budget spreadsheet that South Shore does, and it all depends on how many students are going, the level of each town. They look at our per pupil spending.
Okay.
That the state decides, and that goes into a whole formula, and then there's an assessment on top of that.
Okay.
So, but in the end, if you boil it right down, the money that we're sending there now will come from two sources. It will be a lessening of our Chapter 70
Correct.
and an additional assessment that would meet. So
That would be the local portion.
correct.
Correct. Yeah, so I just want to try to get out that we're not paying twice, and that any additional costs should have offsets. If we have 30 students that we're paying X amount per year, whether it be 18 or 20 or 19, doesn't matter the number, right? This is theoretical conversation, right?
just a
That
shift.
money now goes over there. The budget, we shouldn't be paying again as if they'd be like phantom students in the high school.
Correct.
Because they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, in
So that would be
essence,
absorbed from the kind of school appropriation budget. That would not be that would be that would be going down.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
And in essence, we're doing that now. With those 8 students, we follow that formula. We have 2 students over at the agricultural school in Walpole, and those same iterations happen when those kids, the monies that go to those schools, even though we're not a member school, we're paying based on the same formula.
Yeah, because I understand there's fixed costs. So you got the high school, there's fixed costs, which are different from operational costs. This is more of an operational cost issue. So if a child leaves, we still have the fixed costs.
Correct.
I get that part. I'm more looking at the operational costs that they
And our enrollment, our enrollment swings year to year. We have a couple lower classes.
It's okay. I'm not looking for
Initially, the
specifics, more
impact
just
is
the
not
concept.
going to be. As Mr. Granatino said, I think historically, if you look back 20, 25 years ago, we had a great deal. We had 50, 60 students attending, and then over the years, it's waned. But now it's right before it started to kick up again.
Yeah, because it's more interesting,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, and then once it started to kick up again, is when we're no longer getting our students enrolled. So.
Not the best time.
So that's, I'm almost done, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for your patience.
Of course.
Great. So I think it's important that we have a chance for this conversation, so the citizens have a chance to hear this. If we have a $53 million, say, school budget, right? Out of your 50 students go away, times 20, 50 times 20 is $1 million, whether it's 40, it's 800, it doesn't matter, right? So that million now goes to VOTEC.
Potentially, yeah.
Right. And we're not going to be paying the Marshfield High School to have those students still there, so the 53 would not be 53 plus the additional million because the students are no longer there. Correct?
Potentially.
Right, well,
yeah.
the
Potentially?
Our per pupil spending is about 14,000. So it costs more for a student. In theory, it costs more.
Yeah, whatever it
students
is.
with
Yeah, yeah,
ten,
what
it's
it-
not short.
I'm just saying it's the double thing I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying.
Not the
We're not
exact
adding
cost
to
per
the, we're not
student.
adding to the budget.
Yeah.
We're not adding to the budget
Yeah.
to offset the $1 million that leaves.
Yeah.
Correct.
So right now, you'll see.
That's what I was
in our
trying to let the
operating
public
budget-
know we
Yeah.
were doing.
In our operating budget, you'll see, and it's down this year because we know that there's 4 kids graduating from the vocational school after this year. So you'll see in our operational fixed costs that you alluded to earlier, those are coming down, or the operational costs, I'm sorry, are coming down a little bit because there's less dollars going to the tuition. But we've had some years where the fixed costs have gone up $200,000 because we had so many kids going to the agricultural school in addition to the, but that doesn't change. If our number's at 53, we don't come back and say, hey, we need another $2 million.
Just because we need to send them here,
Right,
plus, yeah.
right, no, no.
I thought it was important the
It's built
public.
into that number.
Yeah, I
whatever
thought it was
that
important the
number
public
is.
knew that you had considered that in your analysis, and that we're not gonna have a phantom charge here and then pay over there.
Correct.
And I wanna make sure they understood that, so thank you for
Thank you.
taking the time and answering the questions.
Good question.
All right, any questions or comments, Lynn?
Just a few. Thank you for doing all this work. There's a lot.
The Moresco's been a part of it as well,
Yeah.
and
Thank you, Mike.
This is great for the town, it's great for our kids, and I'm thrilled that this is an opportunity for those kids that just aren't part of the regular curriculum, they just don't fit in. So, with that being said, there are just a couple really quick points I just wanted to clarify in this, and I know you spent a lot of time on it, but if I didn't get it, maybe someone else doesn't as well. So, the times of payment of apportioned costs, which is on page 5, which outlines each member town shall pay to the district in each year its proportionate share, you just explain it, it's certified, et cetera, and it outlines the fiscal year. So that was great to see. And then the incurring debt, which the committee by a 2/3 vote of all, this is page 6, third paragraph. The committee by a 2/3 vote of all its members may choose instead to use chapter 71, section 16N as amended, or chapter 71, 16D, paragraph 2 as amended. So I just don't understand the reasoning for that. I may be looking at the weeds when I should be focusing on something else.
Chapter 7.
I just-
I'm trying to look up here, like, anyway. It looks to be just the MGL, must be the MGL language on,
We can get back to it if it's too
Yeah,
specific.
Because to be honest with you, Superintendent Hickey of the vocational school is the one who's done most of the
Yeah.
drafting on this side, and they've had this agreement in place. I mean, they tweaked it mainly to update the stabilization account and our debt formula, and then just.
I'm just sure it came from
Basic,
something,
right.
so I'm just curious to
We can
what
take a look at that and get
what
back
that
to you on
came
that.
from, and I'm sure there's a great explanation for it.
yeah, I mean, the main point there is that,
They're giving themselves the options.
6 of the 8 towns will have, I mean, if we're a member, it'll be
Right.
7 of the 9, well, actually 6 of the 9 towns then. 6 of the 9 towns would have to vote affirmatively to incur the debt.
Okay.
So it's going to be, it will be what we went through with Marshfield High School times 9. Because you'll have nine different towns, 9 different town meetings, all involved in that process.
And then this is really the last. The last section was the withdrawal process. So say this doesn't work, right? Say we all come to the realization it's just not right for Marshfield. There's a clause here that outlines the specifics and the nature of those requirements that we're held accountable for as we move forward in the future. So I understand where you've come as far as the proportionate debt. I understand all that. That is an unknown, and it seems like it's clear in here, so thumbs up on that.
Yeah.
We're good to move to the future with this and see where it brings.
I think so.
So I applaud you on having, I'm not an expert, and I know this is legal stuff.
Nor am I.
and it's
I'm learning it on the
So
fly as well.
I know that you'll be held to a higher standard in front of town meetings, so best of luck with that, and thank you for that.
And that withdrawal language is similar. Actually, when I was in Canton, we were part of a collaborative not a vocational school, but a collaborative, and when one district chose to move out, there was costs that they had to incur, just because there's OPEB responsibilities, there's all these other, costs behind the scenes that need to be addressed for them to continue functioning. So if 1/8 or 1/7 or 1/6 of the population leaves, then that's a heavy hit on the other folks that are still standing. So that's why they have that language in there.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
All right.
All right, so I'll just quickly make a motion to support the request of the superintendent of schools, Jeff Grantino, for the town of Marshfield to join the South Shore Regional Vocational School District by placing the question on the special town meeting warrant to be taken up at the annual town meeting on April 24th. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
3-0.
Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks, guys, for
Thanks,
coming in.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate your time with my questions.
Take care. Thanks, guys. All right, so first got to get through the action items. We do have a discussion for the end of the meeting, but just are you, in the back left corner, are you here for a specific action item? I can take the action item and vote it for you. Okay. All right, so our first action item pertains to the school's advertising kindergarten registration, and they just want to do it from February 1st to March 17th. It's pretty straightforward. Do you want to add any other context, Michael?
I spoke to the building commissioner. He's fine with all of this. Signs can go out on all the municipal buildings. They can go out on house lots. You just got to be 10 feet from the street.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Any questions or comments, Jim?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Any questions or comments?
No,
Lynn?
I do not.
All right, I'll
Put
make a
up the
motion.
signs.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the request of the Marshfield Public School Department to place signs at town buildings and schools to advertise kindergarten registration from February 1st, 2023 to March 17th, 2023, and the signs must be 10 feet away from the street. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
A unanimous vote to approve.
All right, next up, we just got to accept Karen Horn's ethics disclosure. She's the assistant town planner. She's joining the housing partnership, and so she filled out a form for us for disclosure purposes. Any questions or comments, Jim?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions or comments,
I
Lynn?
do not.
Thank you to her for doing it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. She really helped us out, so we appreciate it. All right, I'll make a motion to accept Karen Horn's ethics disclosure. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne? Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to accept the ethics disclosure.
All right, great. And she's very patiently waited. We have Pamela Hart, who's going to be appointed with a majority vote, not to be presumptuous, to an at-large seat on the Open Space Committee. Do you have any? We definitely appreciate her stepping up. We have so many vacancies, so we definitely appreciate that. Do you have any questions or comments, Jim?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for volunteering. We have a lot of openings in the town. It's one of the things I always bring up, as everyone knows. And it's hard to get people to serve, so thank you very much for considering that. I read your application, read your resume, and it's a thrill to have you with us.
Any questions or comments, Lynn?
The chair highly recommends her, and so do I. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Pamela Hart for an at-large seat on the Open Space Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to appoint Pamela Hart.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the Polar Plunge, and just squaring that away to give approval to that event. It's a great event every single year. I don't have any questions or comments. Do you have any questions or comments, Jim?
No, it's great. They raise a ton of money. It's a fun event. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Any questions or comments, Lynn?
Where's the date? April 1st, Rexham Beach. Nope. Great.
Awesome. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the request of ALS 1 to hold their 8th annual Polar Plunge on Saturday, April 1st, 2023 at Wrexham Beach from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Surf chairs will be available for handicapped attendees if needed. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the ALS 1 Polar Plunge.
Excellent. All right, number 5, it's the North River Art Society. Every single year they do a great event, and they're just looking to do a one-day all-alcohol beverage license. All the paperwork is in order. Do you have any questions or comments, Jim?
I do not.
Any questions or comments, Lynn?
I do not.
I'll make a motion to approve an application for a one-day all-alcoholic beverage license for the North River Art Society with a festival poster competition on March 10th, 2023 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at 157 Old Main Street. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to approve the one-day all-alcohol.
All right, great. Next up, for the police department, we have to give them permission to accept a gift in the amount of $526.47 from Cheryl Mazzetti and Steve Tobias from a fundraiser to be used for the DARE program. We definitely appreciate the generous contribution from them. Any questions or comments, Jim?
Just thank you very much for the contribution. It's a great program.
Awesome. Questions or comments, Lynn?
Nope.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept on behalf of the Marshfield Police Department a gift of $526.47 from Cheryl Mazzetti and Steve Tobias from a fundraiser to be used specifically for the DARE education program. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to accept the donation to the police.
Great. Next up, we have a donation to our Veterans Services Office from the DAVA in the amount of $1,000, which we greatly appreciate. Do you have any questions or comments, Jim?
Once again, thank you, DAVA, for this wonderful donation.
Awesome. Any questions or comments, Lynn?
You're not.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept on behalf of the Marshfield Veterans Services Office a donation of $1,000 for the Marshfield DAVA. The donation will be used to assist our veterans and their families in time of need. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to accept the $1,000 donation to the veterans.
Alrighty. Jim, any questions or comments for our meeting minutes from January 23rd?
I did not.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments, Lynn?
No, I'm fine with them, thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the January 23rd, 2023 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to accept the minutes from January 23rd.
All right, great. So now we're at the board discussion, and as a reminder, right, so the appointments are a public hearing where we have to do public comments and things of that nature. So this is just part of the public meeting. We're having a board discussion for responses to your questions. So I apologize for the delay, but basically I think it'll be good to answer all your questions in writing, right, because it's very clear, it's on the record, there'll be no confusion or mincing of words. So basically we have the draft ready, and we just need to technically vote to approve the town administrator to send the answers to you in writing. And just to make sure we have agreement before we do that. So the 4 questions that we have as listed to be answered is the first one is our position on the trail itself, basically in a nutshell, and whether we're in agreement with the harbor master. Second question basically is who authorized the harbor master to be in charge of the dredge spoil area in the proposed parking lot and the trail? Who gives them the authorization? And why aren't these projects being put forward by the planning board or the Trails Committee or another appropriate party within the town? Third question is that the Trails Committee twice voted that they do not want to be part of the trail system, and are we in support of the Trails Committee? And the fourth question is on whose authority does the harbor master mow and cut the dredge spoil area phragmites? And then there was a question as well about whether the Conservation Commission agenda, thank you, Jim, was posted to the town website with the appropriate amount of notice as required by our town bylaws. So everything's drafted, ready to go. Just wanted to see, we have the draft in front of us. Like, Jim, do you have any additional context or points you'd like to add to the response?
No, not really. I've read them over a couple of times. I think I'm fine to move forward, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thanks, Jim. Do you have anything you wanted to add to the written responses?
I had one comment on question number 1. It's outlined as the question itself. It said, is the select board in agreement with the residents that this trail can't and shouldn't be built? Or are you in agreement with the harbor master who states funding was the only issue and he can still build the trail with volunteers? So that's the actual question that we are asked to answer, and my point for bringing this to the attention of each of you is that it's kind of with the residents that this trail can't and shouldn't be built. So if we make a point as far as what the residents feel and whether or not we'd be in agreement with that, it puts us in a difficult situation because, for example, we're not saying 10 people disagreed with it, the town at town meeting disagreed with it, or they, on the other side, on the flip side of that is they did agree with it, so we'll be okay with it. So I just have a little bit, I feel like it's a difficult question to answer, so I'm putting that out there. And then the second thing is in the proposed answer to that, I had a question on the file number, and it's 42-2929. And I've reviewed that, and There is a specific comment on their order of conditions by WPA Form 5, D3 on page 14 of 14, post-construction of the proposed work ongoing conditions, ensure the footprint of the subsurface remains open or use pervious coverage only. This condition remains in perpetuity. I was questioning whether or not did the DEP have that notice of intent and what actually was in the written word. And it said the option to perform periodic maintenance to use the area. This is another condition. The option to perform periodic maintenance to use the area as a parking area while not impinging on the designated dredge spoil area activities, vegetative maintenance of the berm to use as public walking path, and vegetative management as necessary of phragmites posing such risk as fire hazard or equivalent. These conditions remain in perpetuity. So that answers that question, and that is my only comments.
All right, great.
So there we go.
Would you prefer that we amend the first question to say instead of with the residents, with some residents or certain residents?
Well, I think that was their question.
Sure.
So I'm just commenting on that was their question to us.
Sure.
And I found that a difficult thing to answer. However, I'm satisfied with the response.
Great.
So that's
All right.
it.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll make a motion to request that our town administrator draft a response to the Brant Rock Village Association based on the discussion this evening by the board on the answers to questions raised at the December meeting of the board. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
All right, great. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we close the public meeting, not to return, and that we move to executive session. Is there a second?
Yes.
A second?
So, Mr. Chairman, would you just help the public understand that this was not a public hearing?
But it was supposed to be a discussion.
No, my question is though that you missed a couple questions on my handout that I gave.
Okay. How do we, without opening it's not a public hearing.
They can resubmit any questions that
Okay.
we didn't answer.
Submit the ones that we missed.
Anything that we missed, yeah, please feel more than welcome to resubmit it and make sure that we answer all your questions.
Okay, so after we get your written response, I can resubmit the questions you didn't cover?
Absolutely, yep. If we missed
We can do it
anything,
before.
let us know. Yeah,
You can do it before.
yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
When will we get that written response?
How about, if we missed anything, we'll get back to you within, actually, we'll put it on for the next meeting, so we'll vote at our very next meeting, so in 2 weeks. So if there's something, if you send us fresh questions that we missed something,
Don't
on our next meeting agenda, we'll vote to answer your questions and send them out then, so there won't be as long of a wait this time.
Great. When will I get this one though, from tonight?
You
Probably-
sign it on Thursday, it goes in the mail on Friday.
Yeah, okay. So basically, they'll get printed out, we'll sign them on Thursday, and they'll be in the mail on Friday, so probably Friday, they'll
As
come
long
back
as I
in the
get
mail.
here Thursday, not Friday. It'll be in the mail on
The regular
Monday.
actual mail?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
it, where are you sending it? Did I give you an address?
We'll send it to the association, or where would you like it to go?
Not P.O. Box 1.
Why don't you, Diane, why don't you reach out to me, you can email me
Yeah.
an address that you want
Right,
the
I
letter
don't-
mailed to.
Okay, that's fine, because I don't remember giving an address.
Okay.
Sure. Sounds good. Do we do the roll call?
We have a motion that's been made and second. Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Mr. Kilcoyne?
Aye.
Ms. Fiddler?
Aye.
Unanimous vote to adjourn, not to return to public session, but to go into executive session.
Perfect. Alrighty.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.